Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihi al-Kareem. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters. Inshallah, today's episode will be the final episode of season 1 of Shuarauna. We will continue our discussion that we were having in the previous episode regarding the concept of Khudi, the falsafa of Khudi of Allama Iqbal rahimahullah. We have selected a section from the classical masterpiece of Allama Iqbal rahimahullah known as Tulu'i Islam, the rise of Islam. He begins by saying, "Tu raze kun faka hai, tu raze kun faka hai, apni aankhon par aaya ho ja, khudi ka razada ho ja, khuda ka tarjuma ho ja." हवस ने कर दिया है टुकड़े टुकड़े नौ इंसान को, हवस ने कर दिया है टुकड़े टुकड़े नौ इंसान को, उखुवत का बयां हो जा, मोहब्बत की जुबां हो जा। ये हिंदी वो खुरासानी, ये अफगानी वो तुरानी, तू ए शबिंदा ए साहिल उछल कर बेकरां हो जा। गुबार आलूदे रंग व नसब हैं बाल व पर तेरे, तू ए मुर्गे हरम उड़ने से पहले पर फिशां हो जा। खुदी में डूब जा गाफिल, ये सिर्र जिंदगानी है, निकल कर हल्के व शाम व सहर से जाविदा हो जा।
إذا ما قال لي ربي أما استحييت تعصيني وتخفي الذنب عن خلقي وبالعصيان تأتيني فكيف أجيب يا ويحي ومن ذا سوف يحميني أسلي النفس بالآمال من حين إلى حين.
Allama Iqbal rahimahullah, he begins by saying, Turaze kun faka hai. You are the secret of kun faka. What does he mean by that? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran many times he mentions that whenever he wants something to be, all he says is kun, fayakun, and it becomes. So Allama Iqbal rahimahullah, he's saying that, O human being, you are the manifestation of Allah saying kun, be, fayakun, and you became a human being. Apni aankhon par aaya ho ja. He said, look at yourself. Understand yourself. This is the theme that we discussed in the previous episode. Apne man mein doob kar pa ja suragh zindagi. This is that theme. Then he says, Khudi ka razada ho ja. Learn the secrets of yourself. Learn your own strengths. Understand your weaknesses, your capacity, your potential. Develop your Khudi. Nourish your Khudi. Protect your Khudi. Strengthen your Khudi. He says, once you do that, and you've achieved that, Khuda ka tarjuma ho ja. Become the one who conveys Allah's message to His people, conveys the message of the Creator to His creation. And this could be done verbally. وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ. Allah says, whose words could be greater and better than the one who conveys Allah's message to His people? But this can also be done physically. It comes in hadith, when Allah loves somebody, كُنْتُ سَمْعُهُ الَّذِي يَسْمَعُ بِهِ. Hadith Qudsi. Allah says, when I love somebody, I become his ears from which he hears. وَبَصُرُهُ الَّذِي يُبْصِرُ بِهِ. And his eyes from which he sees. And it's a very lengthy hadith. But what we understand from this hadith is that when Allah loves somebody, a person develops his khudi and he strengthens it, he gets closer to Allah, Allah starts to love him. Now Allah blesses him with some divine qualities. For example, Allah is Rahim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Merciful. Mercy is a quality of Allah. When somebody gets closer to Allah, Allah gifts him with the quality of mercy. And now he becomes merciful. Jawad and Kareem is a quality of Allah, an attribute of Allah. When someone develops his khudi and gets closer to Allah, Allah starts loving him. He blesses him with this quality. And now a human being becomes generous and Kareem as well. So this is what he's saying over here. Khuda ka tarjuma ho ja. That Allah will then give you qualities, divine qualities for Himself, like Rahim, being merciful, being generous. These are some examples. And then he continues to say, "Hawas ne kar diya hai tukre tukre nau insan ko." He says the problem in the world today is not that people are not praying salat. It's not that people are not reading Quran. It's not that there's less tasbeehs being sold in the streets of Makkah and Medina and people are doing less dhikr. It's not that there's less students of knowledge. He says the problem today is the ummah is divided. Tukre, tukre. And pieces all over the world. We don't have to look any further. Every single community, every masjid, is there one masjid in America? We travel a lot in America. One masjid in America where we could confidently say that every member of this masjid, 500 to 1,000 people, they love each other and they're united and they're not divided. He said, "Havas ne kar diya hai, tukre no insan ko." The problem with the ummah today is that we are totally divided and broken into pieces. He says, how do we counter that? Ukhuwat ka bayan ho ja, muhabbat ki zuban ho ja. Let's learn the first lesson of Islam, that we are brothers. We are brothers. And let's learn the first message of Islam on the tongue of the Prophet ﷺ, which was of love, which was of mercy, which was of affection. His words brought people together, not separated people. We are brothers. Allah says in the Quran, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً, that believers are brothers of one another. The Prophet says, كُونُوا عِبَادَ اللَّهِ إِخْوَانًا, live like brothers. Al-Muslimu akhul Muslim, a Muslim is a brother for another Muslim. And this lesson, he's saying, we forgot. That we look back in the lives of Sahaba. Allah Iqbal says so beautifully. He says, "Khud kushi sheva hai tumhara, wo ghayur wa khuddar, tum ukhuwat se gariza wo ukhuwat pe nisar." He said, you people, looking at the ummah today, he said, we are people that don't even consider ourselves. Whenever we see a problem, we look towards others. But really, we don't develop our khudi. We have not looked into ourselves. And those were people that were so self-conscious. They had full knowledge of themselves, their strengths and their weakness and their potential. And then he says, "Tum ukhuwat se gariza." He said, you are people that don't even care and bother to bring people together and to bring brotherhood back in the community. And you don't sacrifice for that, you don't invest in that. And these were people, wo ukhuwat pe nithar, these were people that were ready to give their lives to establish brotherhood. There are people dying in the battlefields, but they're giving water to the next brother because they were ready to sacrifice themselves. يُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ. Even if they were poor, they were in need, they were hungry, but they preferred others' comfort over their own selves. This was the rule of the day. This was the code that they lived by. And Allah Iqbal, he says, "Tum ho aapas mein ghadabnak, wo aapas mein rahim. Tum khatar wa khata kar wa khata bi, wo khata posh wa kareem." He says, you people today live in hatred, live in bigotry and malice. You have malice in your hearts for one another. And those were people, wo aapas mein rahim. The ayat of the Quran, it says, "Ruhama'u bainahum." They were merciful to one another. And this is exactly what Allah Iqbal is saying. And the next part of the poem we will translate later on. So this part where he says, "Ukhuwat ka bayan ho ja," live like brothers. So then what is the criteria? What is the criteria of brotherhood? And let's take it one by one. The first thing the Prophet says, "Al-Muslimu akhul Muslim, la yadhlimuhu." A brother does not oppress another brother. Just because he has less money than me, just because he's lower in the society, there is no such thing as oppression in Islam. We treat everyone equally. Number one. The next criteria of brotherhood, la yahqiruhu. He doesn't belittle another brother. بحسب من الشر أن يحقر أخاه المسلم. It is enough to be called a sinner that in your heart we undermine another Muslim brother, we underestimate and we belittle another Muslim brother. أن يحقر. This is enough to be called a sinner. لا يحقره. We don't belittle somebody. ولا يخذله. We don't disgrace another brother of ours. This is the criteria of brotherhood. And then it continues on to say, the criteria of brotherhood is we understand the sanctity and the sacredness of one another. That when the Prophet ﷺ is doing tawaf of the Kaaba, he's saying, "Ma atyabak wa atyab rihak," how blessed you are, how beautiful you are, and how blessed is the fragrance around you. وَمَا أَعْظَمَكَ وَأَعْظَمَ حُرْمَتِكَ, and how sacred and great you are, and how great your sacredness is. Then he says, وَالَّذِي نَفْسِ مُحَمَّدٍ بِيَدِهِ لَحُرْمَةُ الْمُؤْمِنِ أَعْظَمُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ حُرْمَةً مِنْكَ. That I swear by Allah, the sacredness and the sanctity of a believer is more than your sacredness and sanctity. That a believer's heart is more sacred than the Kaaba. It should not, just like we would not tolerate someone to go to the Kaaba and break a brick off the Kaaba. How can we tolerate ourselves to break the heart of another Muslim brother or sister? Their heart, in the words of the Prophet ﷺ, is more sacred than the brick of the Kaaba. And this is the criteria of brotherhood. Another criteria of brotherhood is that if we see our Muslim brother and sister committing a mistake or they have a fault, the criteria of brotherhood that we live by is that we conceal and hide their mistakes. Man satara musliman satarahu Allah yawm al-qiyamah. The Prophet said that a person who hides his Muslim brother's mistakes, Muslim sister's mistakes, Allah will hide their mistakes on the Day of Judgment. A person will come on the Day of Judgment and he will have no good deeds. And Allah will say to him, "You have any good deeds?" And he will say, "Oh Allah, I didn't do anything good." Allah will say, "On one day, on such an occasion, you saw someone doing something wrong and you hid it and you never talked about it and you never gossiped about it. You hid his mistakes in this world. Today I hide your mistakes. Go to Jannah." Allah is Sattarul Uyub. Allah hides mistakes, and Allah loves it when someone hides mistakes. This is another criteria of brotherhood. And the opposite of that is so dangerous. The Prophet said, "Man yattabi'u awrat akhihi," the one who after seeing a fault in a Muslim brother or sister, he goes and furthers the investigation, starts doing some more and tries to start gossiping. "You know what I saw him doing yesterday? I saw him doing that. You know where I saw that guy or that sister? I saw her over there. I saw him on the phone at 2 o'clock in the morning. What was he doing?" The Prophet says in hadith, يَتَّبِعُ اللَّهُ عَوْرَتَهُ. Now Allah then starts exposing his mistakes. That person who exposes others, Allah exposes that person's mistakes. And then he says, until a time comes, يَفْضَحُهُ فِي بَيْتِهِ, that Allah disgraces him in the privacy of his own home. This is something so dangerous. This is Allama Iqbal, he's saying, "Tum khata'kar wa khatabi." You are sinners and you are people who expose other people's sins. Wo khata posh wa kareem. And there were people who hid other people's faults. And they were generous, not just by money, but they were generous with their souls. So this is another criteria. Umar anhu, one time he was in the city of Medina, and beautiful story. And he was just, at night time, this was his sunnah, his practice, that he used to go around to see if anyone's in need, any orphans, any widows, and he used to help them with his own hands. A beautiful Umrah anhu. May Allah give us another Umrah of this time. So one day he was walking and he heard music from a house. Someone singing. And he said, "What? In Medina? Someone playing music, live concert in a house?" So he was furious. Oh, he jumped in from the roof of the house. He jumped in and he saw an old man. He's singing a song, and he saw, in one narration, he saw that his servant was also there, and they were participating in this gathering of music in the city of Medina. And Umar was furious. So he grabs this person by his beard. He was an old man. And he said, "What are you doing? Don't you have any shame?" And that old man looks at Umar and he says, "Oh Umar, I made one mistake, and you've committed 3 mistakes." And Umar says, "Wow. You're saying I committed 3 mistakes?" "Yes, you committed 3 mistakes." So what did I? And he was a person. If that was us, we said, "Brother, please stop. You just want to deflect something." And we would say, 3 mistakes. Look at you. You're in Medina. That's what we just said. Umar was so conscious about himself. He said, "Really? What mistakes did I commit?" He said, "Number 1, it is a hukm of Allah that when we enter into someone's house, we have to take permission first. You never took permission before you came to my house. That's the first mistake. The second hukm of Allah is that وَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا. Don't spy on each other. And you were spying on me. And you furthered your investigation and you became a spy. That's your second mistake you made." And the third thing, he says that there's a hukm, the order of Islam, that when you meet your Muslim brother, you say salam. You never said salam to me. 3 mistakes. You didn't ask permission to enter my house. You were spying on me. And you never said salam when you entered the house. Umar said, "Oh, please forgive me. Please forgive me. Please forgive me." And he cried and he left. And now every single day he used to look for this old man in the masjid, and he never came. One day after Fajr Salat, he turned around and he saw this old man in the gathering, sitting there. And after Fajr Salat, he calls him from far. Now this old man is shivering. "Oh man, what's going to happen?" That Umar is calling me, he's going to embarrass me in front of everybody. That old man comes and he sits in front of Umar, and he's still scared, so he sits a little bit at a distance. Umar says, "Udnu minni, come closer." And he keeps saying, "Iqtarib minni," he said, "Come closer." And Umar whispers in his ear. He says, "Wallahi al-Azim, remember that night I saw you? I never told anybody about you. Nobody." He said, "Even Abdullah bin Mas'ud, he was with me on that night. He doesn't even know what I saw in your house. Wallahi, I didn't tell anybody." This was the spirit of Islam. Allahu Akbar. And then that man, he said, "Oh Umar, let me see your ear." And he goes into his ear and said, "Wallahi, oh Umar, after that day, I left music. I never sang and never heard music after that day." And when he said that, Umar said, "Allahu Akbar." He said takbir because he understood that it was because of the spirit of Islam Allah developed change in lives. Today we have to develop that same thing again, that we as brothers, we hide each other's mistakes. And finally, we as brothers, we don't hold grudges in brothers and sisters. We don't hold grudges in our heart for each other. We look in homes, a mother-in-law, her poor daughter-in-law probably made chai one day cold for her or said something negative. 20 years go by and that mother-in-law has that grudge in her heart regarding her daughter and she can't get over it. And it's not just mother-in-laws, even the daughter-in-law. What happened? Why don't you like my mom? The husband asks. Oh, because she looked at me in that manner. And years go by, the family gets divided, the children are born and they're disconnected from their grandparents, brothers and sisters. When the Prophet ﷺ looked at Anas bin Malik, he said, يَا بُنَيَّ إِن قَدَرْتَ أَن تُصْبِحَ وَتُمْسِيَ وَلَيْسَ فِي قَلْبِكَ غِشٌّ لِأَحَدٍ فَافْعَلْ. He says, oh my son, he said, Anas bin Malik, as out of love, he's saying to him, if you could wake up in the morning and sleep at night and you have no grudge in your heart for anybody, li ahad, the word is ahad, not li muslimin or li hajin, for a Muslim, for a person who's performed hajj, for an alim, for my teacher. He said for anybody, Muslim or non-Muslim, mother-in-law, father-in-law, cousins, brothers, community members, people from other nationalities, no grudges, do it. وَذَلِكَ مِن سُنَّتِي, and that is from my sunnah. وَمَنْ أَحْيَا سُنَّتِي فَقَدْ أَحَبَّنِي, and the one who revives my sunnah, he's shown love to me. وَمَنْ أَحَبَّنِي كَانَ مَعِي فِي الْجَنَّةِ, and the one who loves me will be with me in Jannah. What else do we want? So this grudge, this malice, we should forget. We're not talking about relationship of in-laws, but the foundation of the ummah is that when we are faced with difficulties, when someone hurts us, people will hurt us. We're human beings. When we interact, someone will hurt us. It will happen. But that's an opportunity to get Jannah. If someone takes 25 cents from you and you lost 25 cents and he says, you know what? Instead of 25 cents, you lost that 25 cents, here, take $1 million. So any person who has any intellect will say, forget the 25 cents, give me the $1 million. And he will probably say, I lost 2 quarters, give me another $1 million too. We are fighting over pennies. The reward for letting go of our grudge is Jannah. أَلَا إِنَّ سِلْعَةَ اللَّهِ غَالِيَةٌ. That is the reward for it. That Sahabi who was walking into the masjid for 3 days, and the Prophet said that today a man from Jannah will walk in. 3 days went by, and in further investigation, the Sahabi said, what are you doing so great? Because I never saw something in you. They're praying more salat, reading more Quran. Everything is pretty normal and average. What is it that because of that the Prophet is saying that you are Jannati? What is the shortcut? What is the detour to Jannah? And he says, I can't think of anything else but the fact is that before I sleep at night, every single night my practice is, I clean my heart and I forgive everybody. When Abu Dujana anhu was leaving this world and he was on his deathbed, فَيَتَهَلَّلْ, his face was brimming like the 14th moon. And the people around him said, what are you so happy for? And they thought maybe because he was happy and joyful because he's so confident about his a'mal. Of course he should be, he's a sahabi of the Prophet ﷺ. So then they asked him, which deed of yours are you the most confident about when you are presented in front of Allah, that you will present that deed and Allah will forgive you because of that? You know what he said? He was a sahabi who participated in Badr, Uhud, Khandaq, Hunayn, Fath Makkah, every single conquest. He could have said, oh, I was in Badr, or I was by the Prophet's side in Uhud, or I was with him in Khandaq, or I was with him in Fath. He could have used any of those beautiful, momentous occasions, but he didn't. What he said, إِنَّ أَرْجَى عَمَلِي عِنْدِي أَلَّا آذَيْتُ أَحَدًا بِلِسَانِي وَلَمْ يَكُنْ فِي قَلْبِي غِشًّا لِأَحَدٍ. He said the 2 greatest assets of mine and the 2 greatest good deeds that I have, that I'm confident about, that Allah will look at these 2 things and forgive me, is the very fact that this tongue has never hurt anybody's feelings. Ahad. And the second thing is I in my heart never harbored ill feelings towards anybody. This is the message of being brothers. Today, communities are divided based on nationalities. How Allama Iqbal, he says over here, ये हिंदी वो खुरासानी ये अफगानी वो तुरानी तू ए शर्मिंदा साहिल उछल कर पे करा हो जा. This person is Bengali from Bangladesh, this person is Pakistani from Pakistan, this person is from India, this person from Afghanistan, this person is Arab, and now masjids are divided. This is that masjid for those people, and this is masjid for those people. This is such a ridiculous state of the ummah. We've built so many masjids. And masjid to bana di shab bar mein, iman ki hararat walon ne, man apna purana papi hai barson se namazi ban na saka. We've built masjids. They say in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, masjid to kache the, lekin dil pakke the. Aur aaj masjid pakke ho gaye hain, aur dil kache ho gaye hain. At the time of the Prophet ﷺ, masjids were built out of clay, but the hearts were qalb salim, pure hearts. Hearts that had no ill feelings for anybody else because they knew they were brothers. And today the masjids have become made and built by marble, millions of dollar masajid, but you cannot find 3-4 people in the masjid that like each other, love each other, and they don't have any they don't have any ill feelings about anybody else. So, brothers and sisters in Islam, Allama Iqbal is saying, let's get back to that again. Let's start forgiving. وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظِ وَالْعَافِينَ عَلَى النَّاسِ. Forgive and let it go. Allah yuhibbul muhsinin. Allah loves people like that. And of course, we look at the life of the Prophet ﷺ, and he was a person embodiment of forgiveness. And again, how it says, Khuda ka tarjuma ho ja, this is one of the qualities. Allah is ghafoor. Allah has af. And when someone establishes khudi, Allah gives him the quality of forgiveness. Allah gives it to him. And now, one poem, Allama Iqbal, he says, Qahari wa Ghaffari wa Qadusi wa Jabrut, ye cha anasir ho, to banta hai Musalman. A person, he develops these qualities where he's forgiving. And a person develops a quality where he likes to fix problems and not create problems. He said these are qualities when a person establishes, he becomes a complete Muslim and a complete individual. And he concludes this poem by saying, غبار آلود رنگ و نسب ہیں بال و پر تیرے تو اے مرغ حرم اڑنے سے پہلے پر فشاں ہو جا. He says today, you know how we talked about this before in one of the episodes, how Allama Iqbal refers to the youngster of this ummah, the ummati, as a shaheen, as a falcon. He says, oh, e murgh haram. E murgh haram means the one who travels to haram. He says, oh falcon, oh shaheen, before you fly, before you start learning how to fly and go from place to place and you become a leader, dust your wings off first of all this nationalism, racism, ill feelings, division. If you don't dust your wings off, then one broken person develops 100 more broken people. Look in the ummah today, and that's what's happening. A person comes and says, oh, these people are bid'ati, this is, Deobandi, Salafi, Tablighi, or this person Shafi'i, Hanafi, Maliki, Hanbali, or this person, oh, you follow that sheikh, and this person follows that sheikh, and like this, they just divide the ummah. That since he didn't come to my sheikh's gathering, then I don't like him, I don't talk to him. What? Why does that matter? We have the kalima in our hearts and our tongues. That is thicker than everything. And he said, Tu e samanda sahil uchal kal bekara ho ja. You are an ocean that doesn't like boundaries. Jump out of this. You're limitless. You're not going to bind yourself to a person, the people that follow this sheikh, or the people that follow this madhab, or the people that go this place. Astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah. Allah make us among those who love each other. He says that before you fly off and before you become a leader, look at the life of the Prophet ﷺ. He was a person who forgave the most. He was the most compassionate. He was the most merciful among all the people. And like that rubbed off on all the Sahaba. They saw him and they rubbed off on them. And he says, before you fly off, learn those qualities first. That is why this is a topic in Khudi. Why is it a topic of Khudi? The Prophet says, Al-mu'minu kal-bunyan yashuddu ba'duhu ba'da. That a believer for another believer is like one structure. Each portion of the structure reinforces the other. So first, Allama Iqbal in Khudi teaches and educates the ummah that establish yourself like the Prophet ﷺ did in Mecca. He made individuals. He made an effort on them. Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, Abu Dhar, Bilal. He made an effort on individuals. And then when he went to Medina, these individuals made a community. And then he invested all of his time and resources on developing a community and all the traits of the past of Jahiliyyat to get them out of the community. And he worked so hard to develop this community that once in a while when he heard these slurs of racism and nationalism, he would cry and he would say, I'm alive and you're saying this? He invested so much on this. That's why Allama Iqbal says the same thing, that you are each individual of the ummah is an asset. When you're building a home, every single part of the home should be made out of quality. The brick, the marble, the granite, the faucet of the sink, the fridge, and all of this put together makes a beautiful home. Every individual that works on themselves, when they come together, they become one ummah. And if one individual damages himself, he's ripping through the fabric of the ummah and the fabric of deen. So that is why this message of unity, that even if I don't agree with his opinion or her opinion, I may not agree with my father or my mother-in-law's opinion or this brother's opinion, in spite of my disagreement of opinion, I still love my Muslim brother and sister. That is what unity means. Unity does not mean to synchronize and I should like every single thing, that I like everything he likes and he must like everything I like. That's not what unity means. Unity means even if we have differences in opinions, we love each other for the sake of Allah. Allah make us among those who love each other. And how I will end by this. He's saying, Sabak phir par adalat ka, shuja'at ka. Sabak par sadaqat ka, adalat ka, shuja'at ka. Liya jayega tujh se kaam dunya ki imamat ka. If we develop these qualities, then every single person who's listening and myself, if we develop this, Allah will then take that work from us that he took from Salahuddin Ayyubi rahimahullah, that work from us that he took from Sahaba, that work he took from Umar bin Abdul Aziz rahimahullah. And you and I both know that this world is in search for that person. Allah make us among those who can develop these qualities, develop our khudi, and we learn how to forgive each other, and we are a means of uniting the ummah, and we are an asset for our community. Wa akhiru da'wan alhamdulillah alamin.